everyone, my name is Bilikis. You're welcome to a brand new tutorial. Today's tutorial will be on how to finish this dress with a French seam. For instance, if you don't have an overlocking machine or you don't want to go through the stress of finishing up the side with a zigzag stitch, finishing it up with a French seam is just the best option. In most cases, in kids dresses, I use French seam if there's no lining attached. I just have to quickly make this dress. So normally you finish the armhole area, the neckline, with either facing or a bias strip, but a facing is required for this. It's advisable for you to use a facing for this. So now let's go to the main subject of today, which is finishing it up with a French seam. Now this is the wrong side, but when you want to start sewing, first you have to note your seam allowance. Now the seam allowance I left for this is 1 inch. Is 1 inch here. As I've said, you need to note the seam allowance, the total seam allowance you left. For me, it is 1 inch. So what I will do now is this is the right side now facing each other. That's how to start. So you can either take in 1/4 of an inch now or 1/2 an inch. If you take 1/2 an inch, you can always trim up the excess before we fold it back, the wrong side facing the right side facing each other. So now looking at it, this is the right side, this is the wrong side. The wrong sides are facing each other. What I'll do now is this: I'll just take to the sewing machine now and then sew in 1/2 an inch. Remember I told you I left 1 inch, but for this first one you can decide to take in 1/4 inch, but let me just take in 1/2 an inch. So this 1/2, I'll come to the edge here, 1/2. Let me just connect that. Now this is on the right side, the wrong sides are facing each other. I left a total seam allowance of 1 inch, but now I'm going to sew in 1/2 an inch. Can you see that? So I'll take to the sewing machine and just sew this down, then I'll show you the next step. Looking at it now, this is what I have. We are still on the right side. So what I'll now do is this: I'll just have to trim this off to make it shorter. This is what I have. Let me see that. So opening it up. Let me see that. So now I'll now have to turn it right to the right side. So now I have the right side facing each other. So what I'll now do is this: I'll use my pressing iron to just press this open, then fold it so well before we now sew the remaining seam allowance. Now I'm giving it a good press. This is the right side. So now I'll press back again. So now this is the wrong side. The right sides are facing each other. So we have the wrong side now. You can see that because we want to have a perfect finishing on the inside. So now looking at it, we have a good finishing. The next thing now is to now take in the remaining 1/2 an inch seam allowance. Remember I said you need to note the amount of seam allowance you left. I left 1 inch. So here on the right side I sewed 1/2 an inch, but I had to trim it off because I don't want it to show after sewing it off. So by the time I sew 1/2 an inch on the wrong side, all these raw edges will definitely be inside the seam. So covering it up now, I'll now have to take in 1/2 an inch. Let me just mark that for better understanding. So the remaining 1/2 an inch, so that will be from here down here. Connect with my straight ruler. So this is it now. Then I'll take to the sewing machine again and sew from here down to here. Then I'll show you the final result. Looking at it now, I've sewn the remaining seam allowance. Can you see that? So let me just open it up on the right side. Can you see that? So we have a very good finishing on the right side and also on the wrong side. Can you see that? Can you see? So when assuming you are having a flat felt seam, that is when you have to sew these down all through this way. So this is just how to finish up your dress with a French seam. You can see that was pretty easy to make. So if you don't have an overlocking machine, this is a good option, especially with dresses that doesn't have lining. If my tutorial has been helpful, just give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.